Is it possible that this Chicago Bears defense just got even nastier? The player I'm going to talk about in this video is Gervon Dexter, defensive tackle for your Chicago Bears. And he's gone through a physical transformation, yes. I'm going to talk about that. But there's also some new developments coming out of OTAs in this most recent minicamp that absolutely affirm that he's going to be a leader on this team, and he has really burst on the scene, and his teammates are noting it as well. The coaches are noting it. Ben Johnson is over the moon about him. I'm going to share all that in this video and just some really good recent developments on him. And if you kind of look at this defense as a whole, right, we're not talking about a full overhaul, switching to Dennis Allen from Coach Flus. I mean, he's still going to run a 4-3 defense. But there's some notable differences here. He wants something different from players in this system. He prizes speed. He prizes aggressiveness over just straight up power. And that means some players have had to transform. And Gervon Dexter is talking about this being the hardest Chicago Bears offseason that he's had. And he just recently told Adam Hogue and Mark Carman that he's as well working on techniques that are helping him come out of his stance with his hips with more explosion. Really good thing to hear. So talking about this offseason that's been so hard from him, let's talk directly to Gervon. I think when someone asked me if I put on some weight, I think I said shout out to head strength and conditioning coach Pierre. No, Coach Pierre and the business staff, assistant strength and conditioning coach Mark Filippi. But it's a little more than that. He continues with, they've done an unbelievable job with just helping me reach some of the things and even like creating goals for me and seeing the potential and where it could be at weight-wise and body-wise. So shout out to them for that as well. But yes, it has been one of the hardest off seasons I have ever had. And then if we go one step further, let's go straight up to the head coach. Let's go to Ben Johnson and hear what he has to say about Gervon Dexter. It's hard to compare because I've only been with him now for 7 weeks, 8 weeks, but I can tell you this. Just from afar, having called plays against him, he was a guy that really came on last year. You could feel it. Now with defensive tackle Andrew Billings being out last year, you could feel him, talking about Dexter, grow into just a little bit more of, hey, I need to step up here. And you could see it. You can see it on the tape. There was growth. There was more production, particularly in the pass rush game. I mean, there's different ways of leading, and this is from Dexter. For me, when I watch Montez, he's leading in that way. I'm following him. So there's different types of leaders. We obviously now have Grady Jarrett. He's leading by example, and he's vocal. So yeah, I think a defensive line definitely needs a guy, you know what I mean? I can step up and let you know. So Johnson is really noticing the interplay between defensive linemen on this team, and this is as like leaders and players are being brought along, and he really likes what he's seeing. I think what we've seen here from the D-line room as a whole, we've seen a lot of guys that are pushing, they're growing. I like to spend a lot of time down there because during individual skills practice work, it's not just great work, technique work they're getting, but they're coaching each other up along the way as well. And that's the main point that I want to talk about in this video about Gervon, because the guy is definitely ascending. We can look at the stats first. We're looking at 5 sacks last year. It kind of shows that Dexter is continuing to figure out how to apply serious heat on quarterbacks from the interior. But he did line up all over the line. He lined up at tackle. He lined up over the tackle. He lined up on the outside. And he did so 144 times according to PFF. And he finished 28th in their grades. Now, that's among 219 interior defensive linemen. That's one thing. But the year before, he'd been 114th and was 56th against the run last year after he'd been previously 187th. Guys, this is an ascending player. And now I want to talk about how he is becoming a leader in this locker room. Now, he's been working on way more than his body. It's not just that. It's way more than his technique. Talking about our second rounder from 2023, he has become a vocal leader on this defensive line now. He's in good proof for that is that he actually organized workouts with defenders during downtime in the spring and summer. He's taking that initiative, and that's what team leaders do. And this was even before OTAs were set to begin late last month. Gervon Dexter, he had a plan. He decided to get the entire Chicago Bears defensive line together for workouts in Miami, and this was a huge step, right? Until recently, talented young player, right? Following the lead of veterans on the roster like Sweat and Billings and, well, DeMarcus Walker. I'm going to miss that guy. He was a fun soundbite, but this was the first instance of Gervon actually taking the initiative and taking charge as a leader and coming into that in his own right. So we're talking about half of the Bears defensive line entering this season is new, right? Grady Jarrett, Dio joining free agents this offseason, but veteran pass rusher Montez Sweat, he joined the Bears via trade 2023. There's just been a lot of coming and going, and it's kind of crazy because now you're looking at Gervon being both the youngest and the longest tenured player on this Chicago projected defensive line coming into this season, which is kind of huge. Dexter Sr. is just the oldest and the youngest on this line. It's just kind of crazy. So to hear a little more from Dexter, I think I'm learning to be a leader. I mean, there are many different ways of leading. When I watch Montez, he's leading in that way. I'm following him. Now we have Grady Jarrett who can lead by example and vocally. I mean, this is just really good stuff to highlight. That was my dog coming down the stairs. So we're looking at not long after Jarrett and Odangbo signed with the team, then the invitation to Miami and for a workout session. And this really impacted Jarrett for one. At that point, he hadn't even set foot on the Bears practice facility, and this was just showing him who Dexter was going to be as a teammate. I thought that was a big gesture for him to invite me to hang out with them, and I think it's been good for our relationship even before we got into the building, and that just showed his willingness to try to take that next step. Dexter started 15 games last year, and these strides that he's making as a leader, as well as his physicality, it's going to be so crucial. And we're looking at 33 solo tackles last year. That's 15th most out of all 219 NFL defensive linemen, and it's 19 quarterback hits. That put him in the top 5 among tackles. So this is a little bit from Ben Johnson. Just from afar, having called plays against him, he's a guy that really came on last year. He is still gushing about what he did last year. And we're also looking at, before he became a pro, Dexter was studying the two guys that he's now playing with. So how this line is coming together, it's just really fun to look at. So Dexter's talking about Jarrett and Sweat here. It's crazy that I'm playing with both of them now. Grady is one of those guys, as well as Montez. I would turn on some of those guys' tape before high school games just to see. And now they're all playing together. And he's now impressing the ones that he used to watch and learn from. It's becoming full circle. And he's really earned the right to call himself a leader on this team. A little more from Sweat. Dex is a leader on the D-line. He's a leader on this team. And I think Dexter understands what to do to embody this role on the team. I would say I'm just growing up. You know what I mean? This is from Dexter. It's just taking that next step into doing some of those things, trying to step up and be the guy. And this get together in Miami, I want to talk about it just a little more. And he explained to Cassie Carlson of Fox 32 that he had a primary goal with this. He realizes it's his belief that the best defensive lines are ones that stick together, both on and off the field. And he just wanted to take time studying things with the players and also hearing stories from the other guys, instilling something similar into Chicago that he's heard that all defensive lines do, just really coming together as a team and coming together as friends. And then as well, he had a more selfish reason. He wanted to work with Grady Jarrett personally because he wanted to tap into this wealth of knowledge of how to excel in this league, not only on the field, but off the field. And I mean, Grady Jarrett, he's not the player he was 5 years ago. He's going to be an amazing rotational player on this line, though. But I think one of the main reasons that he's on this team is to provide exactly the type of mentorship that Gervon Dexter is talking about. And the fact that Grady Jarrett is not only there to provide it, but that Gervon is hungry for it, just absolutely fantastic. I think he's here as an ascending player. I think he's going to be a big-time stud. I think he's going to make the Pro Bowl this year. And Gervon, his numbers. He doubled his sack total to 5 last year, recorded 51 total tackles, hit the opposing quarterback 19 times, and I just think he's going to take his talent to the next level under Allen. I think he has physically transformed his body to enable him to do so, fitting perfectly into this scheme. And at 6'6", 312 pounds, he's got all the physical tools to succeed. And I just really love what we're seeing here. 10 sacks over the past 2 seasons. That trails only Montez Sweat on the team. And now he's just in a position to thrive. Allen's schemes often rely on interior pressure to collapse the pocket and force hurried decisions. Now we've got Billings back to hold down the nose. We've got Grady Jarrett. We've got Gervon Dexter. We've got a rotation at defensive tackle that is really strong and really deep. And I don't know how you can't be loving what you see during this offseason. You guys bear down. I'll continue to be here on the Daily Chicago Bears News.